Hey, we just finished our summer tea, so we're back to the normal schedule. It's nice to see you again. Thank you all for coming. Okay, so today, I don't know what's happening in the other parts of the country, but here in Rosemead, it's almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So how many degrees is that in Celsius? Oh, about 34, maybe. 32, 34. Okay. 31. 31 degrees Celsius. But it's not too bad here because it's not that humid compared to Asia. I understand Asia mostly very, very humid. Okay, all right, so it's back to the normal schedule, so we can continue to do that, to practice together, cultivate together. When I first started cultivating, I started to learn Chan, and I kept on hearing the Chinese saying that, proudly saying, they cultivate, we cultivate. And it didn't quite make sense to me what cultivation meant. And to me, because I'm from a Western educated background where the word cultivation didn't exist. So for us, Western educated people, especially in English, to cultivate really doesn't mean much at all. Okay, so later, when I started teaching, I avoided using the word cultivation because it didn't make sense to me. So finally, now I'm back to full circle. We're cultivating together. So what's cultivating? We cultivate. And the word cultivation in my mind is unlike the way in the Asian culture when we say cultivate, 修行 in Chinese. It means it's inherently, culturally speaking, it makes sense to us to cultivate. But for Westerners, to cultivate really didn't mean anything. Westerners, we are taught to make money, to be successful, to get married, to get a good degree, and so forth. But to cultivate, no, we don't cultivate. Okay. So, what does cultivation involve? Cultivation to me is a practical thing because, again, I'm taking the approach of the 21st century people where we need to speak in a way that people can understand. I'm not sure that in Asian culture you still have the same concepts of cultivation. Maybe since this is Asian geared towards Asian practitioners, what does cultivation mean to you? Chen, what does cultivation mean to you? She hit herself. She really blackened her screen, only saw half of her face. What does cultivation mean to you?
Cultivation. Suffer.
To suffer? God, you must be depressed. Cultivation in Asian culture is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Cultivation is a lofty, lofty thing. It's not to suffer at all. What could ever give you such an impression?
Because cultivation is not the easy thing to do, right? So you got to suffer, and then you can get something.
Wait a minute. Look at the doctor. The doctor seems to disagree. I see the doctor keeps shaking and moving from side to side. You know, you agree, Dr. Fang, that cultivation to suffer. See, she doesn't seem to agree. You say, no, no, no. Aren't you lucky that you can wear short shorts and sleeveless? We can't do that. We're not Tibetan. This is when I wish I were a Tibetan of practice, where you can wear short things. And Tibetans has got made. Oh God, we should change the tradition. Yes, doctor. The doctor. What do you think? What is cultivation to you? Oh, doctor. Yeah, now she stopped shaking. Is suffering, is cultivation suffering? Oh? Anyone? Okay, she doesn't seem to disagree anymore. Anyone? Is cultivation really suffering? Okay. Cheng, you cannot speak like that. You scare my students away. In the future, I will never dare ask you questions again. Question, go ahead.
Go Force Apple says, pain for happiness.
Pain for happiness? Apple. In English, it means something else. Pain for happiness. It's something like bonding, or, what is it? No, Apple. You cannot talk like that either. Okay. Anyone else? Cultivation, suffering. Come on, guys. Cultivation is fun. Jane, go ahead.
Cultivation is free us from suffering.
Frees
Through
us from
cultivation.
Suffering. But Chen seems to disagree. She says cultivation to her is suffering. That's all she can think of immediately. Notice, she didn't even hesitate. He says, cultivation is suffering with so much authority. Hey, congratulations, Jane, about your getting tenure, huh?
Thank you.
It's a good thing, yes?
Yeah. Thanks.
We're happy for you. Was it the first trial and we got it right away, or they flunked you before? They turned you down before?
No, it's the first one.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. Typically, you have to fail a few times, right? No?
No, not in Canada.
Not in Canada. Oh, Canadians, so easy. Okay. Anyone else? What is the cultivation? Okay. Yes, go ahead, Lan Fang.
Master, sorry, I have some connection issues. So earlier I didn't hear you call me. I think cultivation is endurance for the suffering.
Endurance is a suffering? Okay, anyone who's not depressed? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Master Guo Xia says it's 改变惯有的习气 to change your habit energy.
Very good. You see, now we're talking about something positive. The first four speakers are so depressed. They only see negative things about cultivation. So if you ask them, how's your life? I say, oh, I'm pretty depressed. I'm pretty unhappy. No. cultivation, okay? And this is why for a long time when I started teaching Chan, I talked about everything, but very little thing about suffering, okay? And now, when you talk about Chan, is for our times. This doesn't apply for the way the Chinese taught it. It's for the tradition, the Asian tradition, and the old times. It's okay. But nowadays, you talk about cultivation and suffering and so forth. It's it discourages people from practicing. And so, yes, go ahead.
So Go Forth Apple says it's the way to enlightenment because I just sat 1 hour. And Emily says cultivation teaches us patience.
Cultivation teaches patience, teaches enlightenment. Okay, what else?
And there's a Korean.
Korean, go ahead, Korean stuff.
루징 says, 더 나은 사람이 되는 과정, 그 자체를 즐기는 것.
Ruching says it's becoming a better person and enjoy the process.
Becoming a better person and enjoying the process. Okay, what else? More Korean stuff. That's it? No more? Okay, very good. In the Asian culture, from what I gather, you go ahead, Lyle.
The only way to end all the suffering?
The only way to end our suffering. Are you depressed too?
Yes.
Okay. It's gonna get better, I promise. Okay. In the Asian culture, looking back, I realized that for the Chinese, for the Asians, especially Master Xinhua temples, we cultivate because what's implied in that statement is that we seek enlightenment. Agree, disagree? What happened to our apple here in Wei Mountain Temple? She disappeared. She was here all day and then comes to class time, cultivated with master. She became enlightened, so he says, no, I'm out of here, master. Enough is enough. Huh? You agree? See, that's my impression now, looking back, that what's implied for the Asian culture, particularly Master Xinhua's thing, they proudly proclaim that they cultivate, because they said, we cultivate in order to become enlightened. And that's the Asian culture. Koreans, is that true? The Vietnamese, I don't think it's true to the Vietnamese. Xianran, is it true? What about the Koreans, Sunims? Is that what you do or no? When you say you cultivate, you don't say that.
Yes, sure.
Huh?
Yes, sure. If we want to be enlightened.
One text your name. Is that what your impression is, or cultivation to you? No? I mean, you shave your head. Hey.
Yes, Master. But for me, it's enlightenment actually was too much for me.
So why did you shave your head?
I just followed the instruction of the abbot of the temple when I
shave your head.
Came to the temple.
I see. Wow. Okay. We should talk some more about how you turned your effort into more money-making enterprises. Okay, what an obedient disciple. So, in the Asian culture, in particular Master Xinhua's temples, they're proud of the fact they cultivate. They say we cultivate, and that's implied as that they wish to reach enlightenment. And that's the implied thing. So I need to, besides with you, I haven't cultivated that many Asian temples. I know that the Vietnamese temples I was at, they really don't look at cultivation as enlightenment. Okay, they're more Vietnamese, more interested in going to the Pure Land. Most of the Vietnamese I know were more interested in going to the Pure Land. So they shy away from Chan in general because they're afraid of Chan. People who practice Chan, they tell each other that they get into mnemonic states, you know. They do things that cannot be, you know, that so abnormal. Okay, so that's why there's real fear in the Vietnamese Buddhists that Chan is a rather precarious thing. So that's why they don't talk about cultivation. So anyway, going back to this concept of cultivation to the elite Chinese that we say, that is to become enlightened. Okay, and I struggle with that because for me, a Western educated person, it's too vague. Enlightenment, first of all, no one really understands what enlightenment really is, especially the people who talked about becoming enlightened. They have no clues about what enlightenment is about. Okay, and in number one, they don't know what enlightenment is about. That's why they stop. They say we cultivate and don't say to become enlightened because they don't know what it's about. Okay, so they drop it. Number two, problem I have is that what does cultivation mean? Okay, what is cultivation? Cultivation, 修行. I need more details. Agree? So that's why when we teach people nowadays about Chan and help encourage people to practice Chan, we tell them you should practice Chan because that's part of cultivation. No one would do it. Okay? And so I propose to you, well, that's what many of you are doing, by the way. Xiaoqing, how did you get your mother to cultivate? You remember? Yeah, what did you do to get your mother to cultivate?
Xiaoqing, you need to switch your channel back to English in order to respond to Master.
You do in Chinese too. You can translate. No translation?
Xiaoqing, 我们听不到你。你要换到那个英文的 channel。已经换了吗？ She already changed. Maybe text us, Xiaoqing. We cannot hear you in the English, but we can hear you in the Chinese channel.
Why don't you translate for her?
Yeah, I don't know what she's saying.
Just the gist of it. You don't need to translate verbatim.
So, Lan Fang has an answer. First, I encourage my mom to help improve her sleep and health.
Okay.
And then Xiaoqing says, 我妈妈想身体健康. My mom wants to have a healthier better health.
Better health. Very good. Excellent. So you see, that's in general, that's what you who turn to your family and your friends when you want to encourage them to practice, to cultivate, it has to be something more practical they can identify with. You cannot talk cultivation in general. You cannot talk about enlightenment. Okay, and this is what most people who talk about cultivation struggle with. They don't know enlightenment, and number two, and then when talk about cultivation, they cannot explain to others what cultivation is. If you go like the first several people who talk today about what cultivation is, you will scare people away. Okay, So I propose to you, and this is what we've been doing with you, what worked for you, and the people you introduced to, many of you, is the fact that you give them concrete things. Chan is very practical. Chan is to help you meet your needs. What are your needs? And Xiaoqing's mom is to improve the health, okay, sleep better. Okay, and so that's describing cultivation in terms of concrete things. Okay, so for example, you get your son to cultivate. Okay, you don't say cultivation. You tell them cross your legs. And you cross your legs for so long, it's very difficult. You endure it, okay? And you endure a little bit longer, I give you some ice cream, okay? I'll give you some treat, some candies, and so forth. So we have to describe the process as something practical, something that brings on concrete results, desirable results, that would be an incentive for people to, let's say, practice Chan or to cultivate. So that's why I started, usually when you want to help people practice Chan, you talked about why they're there, why they want to practice, what spurred them to try this, okay? And Chan can help you some very basic needs in life, such as improve your health, become more patient. What else? Increase your stamina. Makes you feel more peaceful, more at peace, more joyful out of life, and so forth. Those are the things that most of us have real needs for. Yes? And in order to get those, you need to go through a certain practice, a certain training method that only Cheng can remember. She forgot about why she's doing it. She only remembers that it hurts so much, it's so much suffering, so much pain. Okay? But that's a process you need to go through in order to get what you want. Okay? For you to earn a living, you have to suffer. Remember? You know, you have to go to work. You have to do things you don't necessarily like. Okay, and that's part of life. In order to get what you want, you sometimes have to do. Quite often, you have to do things that are difficult for you, that are challenging for you, and that's Chan. Does it help? Okay, so that's how I would recommend you talk to people, your family, your friends, co-workers about Chan. And don't talk about cultivation as enlightenment and so forth. Find out what they want, what they need, and tell them, and most likely, Chan practices will help them attain those things. All right? Help them feel better about themselves. Okay? Amazingly, you find that many people are depressed. Okay, and practicing Chan, actually the pain there, think about it, the physical pain you experience actually gives you a break away from the mental pain that your depression ghosts are inflicting upon your head. You know, depression is mental pain. It's not physical at all. Okay? The depression is the mental suffering that is too overwhelming for you. That's why you don't feel like doing anything. Okay? Whereas when you practice Chan, the physical pain there, the physical discomfort, actually distraction from that. It gives you a break from your mental pain. Does it help? Do you notice that? Okay, but you know what happened is because you're depressed, the depression goes and jump on that and says, this is more suffering for you. Not at all. This is relief from your mental pain. How's that? Does it ring a bell now? That's why the depression ghosts tend to jump on that and say, you see, this is nonsense because this is suffering too. He didn't say too. This is too much suffering. But when you undergo this Chan training here, the physical discomfort, the physical pain is a distraction from your mental pain, and it will bring you to a state where you can rise above the mental pains that the depression ghosts are inflicting upon you all these years. Or we are planning on continuing to do that to you the rest of your life. Same thing. Someone mentioned earlier about cultivation is to improvement, to change. That's it as well. Unless we know how to change for the better, we are victims of life. I like to use the word victims, because that's a very important concept. We're victims because we don't know what else to do. We consulted with the doctors, okay, with the lawyers, with the people in the know, the smart people, and they say, what do I do about my suffering, about my depression? No one really can tell you what to do except give you some medication. Okay? What do I do about my parents getting old, getting sicker? What do I do about their impending death? Okay? Right? What do I do? And there's so many things, so many questions in life that that are really important to you, big problems for you. You don't know how to address those issues. Okay, chances are that Chan have give you the chance to try to address it. In fact, a couple of days ago, I had a call from one of our long time, not disciple, but she's a follower of the temple. And she says, in my brother's company, there's a long-time worker who's in her 40s. She's discovering she has breast cancer. Okay? And she's terrified to death. The tests are not back yet, but she's so worried, she's so terrified. What do I do? Okay? And she can't help herself. She kept on crying and crying and crying. Okay? And so I talked to them. I said, yes, if you cultivate, I didn't speak about cultivation, but because a lot of our people, when they cultivate here at the temple, they have experienced breast cancer and so forth, and they're able to get a hold of that, be able to stay on top of the breast cancer. They have a normal life. The breast cancer is in remission. I understand. Okay, so the point here is that you, through the Chan practices, depending on your level, you'll be able to address some of your issues. You learn how to resolve some of your issues. Okay, so cultivation to me, is for a purpose, a clear purpose, concrete purposes, where you actually, instead of talking about enlightenment so far away, we talk about concrete goals, baby steps you can do that will help you feel better about cultivation, about Chan. Okay? Yes, in order to improve, okay, the secret, Chinese Chan secret is endure suffering. Yes. But you endure suffering, so you exchange suffering for getting the results you want. Okay? So if you have enough blessings, you will be willing to endure it so that you will become better off. You will improve. Okay? So cultivation to me is self-improvement. You will become a better person. This is why all these people, even though it's difficult, even though it's challenging, more demanding, look at the doctor, she's going crazy right now, okay? They still do it. It's because it's beneficial. Does it make sense? Okay? There is some real great benefits for this, for everyone who's willing to undergo this very special, this very wonderful, secret self-improvement program, if you will, that worked for so many people in the past as well as going more into the future as well. Okay? Oh my God, this doctor is making, scaring people. You know, I have to admit to you, I never cried this much. Okay, can we tune out? Just do not record this because we have Daniel here, the Catholic Daniel. We don't want to scare him. Yes, Wang Ho.
지금 말씀해 주시는 거에서 다소 조금 별개의 질문인데요. 드릴 수 있을지 모르겠습니다.
Master, I'd like to talk about something different subject. Is that okay?
Sure.
네, 그 예술 작품이나 예술가들의 어떤 활동 그리고 운동 선수들의 그 아름다운 그 이제 그 어떤 운동을 보고 가끔 이제 정신이 고양될 때를 체험합니다. 누구나 다 그런 체험을 하셨을 건데요. 그 예술가들이나 어떤 운동가들의 어떤 퍼포먼스가 팔선정에 있어서 최고 어떤 단계까지 도달할 수 있을지 궁금합니다. 이 질문을 드린 이유는 얼마 전에 아마 다 아실 겁니다. 이민찬이라고 우리나라 훌륭한 콩쿠르 대회에서 이제 1등을 한 피아니스트의 공연을 봤는데 잠시 동안이었지만 굉장히 정신이 고양되는 마치 얕은 단계이지만 선정이 되는 그런 체험을 좀 이제 체험이 들었습니다. 그래서 예술 참선이 아닌 예술가들의 활동 또한 더 나아가서 이제 운동선수들의 그 활동이 참선 안 하지만 몇 선정까지 도달할 수 있을지 궁금합니다. 예, 여기까지 여쭙겠습니다. 여기서 고양된다고 그랬는데 무슨 마음이 청정해진다는 표현하면 더 좋을 것 같습니다. 네. 네.
Master, I have a question. Let's say we're looking at a famous art piece, or we're looking at athletes' activity. I have experienced that my mind becomes calm. So I was just curious. Recently, there's this young pianist who won this huge competition. So when I was listening to his play, my mind became calm, and I felt like maybe I'm entering samadhi. So my question is, these people are not practicing Chan, but they are entering maybe samadhi, but how high can they enter as far as we're looking at in samadhi levels?
Okay, very good. First of all, when you feel peaceful and calm during the day, when you do something, it's a result, it's derivative of you entering samadhi. or having entered samadhi. Okay, so this is one of the advantages of the Chan practice, is that when you enter samadhi, you feel peaceful. You feel your mind is at peace. That's a manifestation of being samadhi. So because your skill level, you can enter samadhi practically anywhere, and there's no pattern. Okay, until you become more skilled, you can enter at will. But at your level, you have to still go through the drills. Okay, crossing your legs and using a Chan skills and so forth. Okay, but actually for the non-Chan non-practitioners, the people, normal people, they also are able to enter samadhis as well. Okay, and there's a mechanism of why they enter samadhi that I don't want to explain to you, okay, at all, because you don't need to understand that. It's not that important for you to understand. There's certain things I would teach you because I feel is useful to you in your personal practice. There's certain things I'm not willing to teach you, share with you, is because it doesn't help you at all and creates problems for others. If they hear about it, and they say, okay, so these people, they practice Chan, they do these difficult things, do nonsense things in order to develop skills. I don't need to do that. I can enter samadhi, okay, by doing what I describe to them, I describe to you, okay. In fact, when you face in similar situations, you also will enter samadhi. Okay, the difference between us and them is that our samadhi level is higher. And so we can develop the skills to know how to enter it. Whereas the way they enter samadhi is really not their skills at all. There's no skill in there for ordinary people who really don't have any Chan skills, okay, that they can rely upon to enter samadhi. But for us, we enter samadhi because either by some special cases or by using our Chan skills. But the Chan skills are very important because they help you increase your samadhi level. That's why we teach you these things. The training is in order for you to develop the skills to enter higher and higher and higher level of samadhis. That's called self-improvement. And that is the road towards enlightenment. Yes, we also, when we practice Chan, is to enlightenment. But we don't talk about enlightenment, we talk about baby step. We talk about how to continue to improve. And that's, if you keep improving, the way we teach you, you will become enlightened. Many have become enlightened already. You see? So we don't need to talk about it. As long as you continue the practice and develop skills, you will become enlightened. Because that's our purpose. My training, our Chan skills, okay, will help you become enlightened. But we don't need to talk about it. When people who first practice Chan, we need to help them, be patient with them, because they will really have adverse reactions to why does it hurt so much, and why do I have to endure this? Okay, I worked so hard already. I'm looking for a break. I don't want to endure more suffering. But what Wang Ho just talked about is that when you endure this suffering here, okay, these challenges here, this comes here, you will be able to find peace of mind. And that's how you overcome your daily problems. Okay? And another reason for many of you, for example, you see the doctor there, she used to shake from side to side and started crying. Now she put her palms together. It's very strange behavior. Let's face it. But the reason that we are not trying to suppress it is because it's beneficial behavior. Those are part of your discovery about you, about your life, your obstructions, your challenges, okay? And they are surfacing by your practice of Chan. Okay? So we are helping her we're training her to overcome these obstructions. So when you practice Chan, you have these issues. Okay, I look at the issue because you were experienced. We look at them, so we say, "Oh, those are good." We continue. You continue to progress. You will overcome those things yourself, or you might need help, and so forth. Okay, so that's why there's nothing to be afraid of. The comfort level for all of you is due to the fact that doesn't matter which level you are. I assure you, the last 16 years of Chan practice, we have plenty of people who reach from low level to high level in a Chan practice. So practice with confidence that we can assist you, and you're one amongst this group of elite people, very special people who are not afraid of the challenges, who are improving themselves. Okay, and the reason, Cheng Cheng, that we do these things, it's a lot of suffering for you on the surface, is because it helps you improve a lot faster. You can go slow. We can put you on a chair, okay, and only help you focus on the peace. Help you take a break from the mental pressure you're experiencing every day, okay? But that's not enough. If you do that, you stagnate. So that's why once you're willing to overcome the initial challenges, like Xiao Jing's mom, her first reaction is this too much pain? Why should I do this? Same thing, Dr. Lang Fang's mom, she said, I don't like pain. I want comfort. Okay? So, but when they're willing to do that, okay, they change, become a better people, become happier, more peaceful. All right? Any other questions or comments? And to me, I don't know about you, to me, Chan is intellectually interesting because you learn a lot. You discover things. I understand more and more and more. Okay? It's a learning process for me personally. Okay, and if you have no questions, we can go to the ancient wise teachings, anecdotes from Master Wei Shan, our founding patriarchs. Okay, we did the first two, so that's do number 3, 1-3, dream interpretation. All things that once also discussed the last time. So in 1-3. Okay, so this is an anecdote from Master Wei Shan. The Master Wei Shan just awoke from sleep, and his disciple and successor Yang Shan, my great master Yang Shan, came in and bowed. Okay, the master arose and said, I just had a dream. Why don't you try to interpret it for me? I say, 我是来的一梦，你是为我云看. Okay, 云 here is origin. 云看 is interpret or what? Chinese people, help me out. The Chinese language is very precise. That's why I'm very cautious about these translations. Yuan kan. Yuan kan here, what does it mean in Chinese? Yuan kan. Chinese, Korean, I don't care.
Jane.
What does it mean? Yuan is origin, isn't it? The source? Yes? You guys have computers, you have a test.
Jane, you can speak.
Okay. Kan is watch, see.
Yes, Yuan.
So Yuan is try. How about you try to see the origin?
Yuan is the source.
The source, yeah, for me.
Okay. So it's not interpreting, but you could say, you could translate as interpret, but actually the Chinese word is to see for me where it came from. Does it make sense? Okay. So the Chinese language is more precise when they speak like this. It's not interpretation. It says how it came about. Okay? How it came about. Okay? So interpret is another thing. This is a good, is a decent translation. But the Chinese is much more precise. It says, where did it come from? Okay? Okay, but interpret is close enough. That's fine. Yang Shan went to get a basin of water for the master to wash his face. Okay? A little later, Xiang Yin, you all know Yang Shan, which is successor of Master Wei Shan. Xiang Yin is another eminent disciple of Master Wei Shan, for your information. He's very, very famous. And he's a room-entering disciple, meaning that he's allowed to go into the master's room to serve him. Just go room-entering, meaning that he's able to enter the master's room for a purpose. Okay? That's not say anything about that it depends on the purpose of the teacher, but for Xiang Yin, my impression is that Master Xiang Yin was allowed to serve Master Wei Shan. For what reason, do you know? Of course you don't. Xiang Yin wasn't enlightened. Xiang Yin was a disciple of Master Bai Chang, and he wasn't able to become enlightened under Master Bai Chang. So he went over to Wei Shan, okay, to practice under Master Wei Shan as well. And then Wei Shan, he wasn't enlightened either. He wasn't enlightened at all. Because Xiang Yin is very intelligent, very smart, and very erudite. So he most of the scriptures he knew about, he read, he's so well read, so well informed. Okay, so when he came over to Master Wei Shan says, "I know you're very knowledgeable, okay, but you have to tell me something about Buddhism that's not from the books." Okay, it has to be something that you know before you're born. It's something that you can talk about before your mind starts discriminating. What is that? Okay? My phone flashlight is on. Thank you, everyone. I was this warm feeling in my heart. I couldn't understand why. For the last hour or so, almost 2 hours, I have this warm feeling in my heart. I say, wow, I'm so glad I'm back to teaching again. It feels so warm and fuzzy, even though the doctor is crying like crazy. In Northern California, I have this warm feeling. But thank you. Now my battery is almost dead. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so Master Wei Shan's teaching to Xiang Yin is that, I know, I don't care what you know. Just tell me something you understand about Buddhism that's not from any scripture, it's not from the Buddha's teaching, okay? Don't regurgitate for me what the sutra says, what the Buddha says. Don't regurgitate what the patriarch says. It has to be something that from you, that you know before you're even born, that you know before your mind start discriminating, you know, plus and minuses, favorable, disfavorable, and so forth. And Xiang Yin went back and he looked, sure enough, he looked for all the sutras he knew. He went through all the books and he couldn't find anything. You know, that's so typical Xiang Yin. He said, if it's anything about Buddhism, it's got to come from the Buddhas. Okay? Buddha must have taught us already. Okay? So he went back to all the scriptures. He could find nothing, couldn't find anything. So finally, he was so fed up, he burned all his books. That's why he's so famous. He's known to be a Chan monk, disciple of Master Wei Shan, who dare burn sutras. Burning sutras, by the way, for you people in the 21st century, it's a very serious offense. Okay? You will be stupid. You will be unlikely to become enlightened if you do commit offenses like that. But this guy here, he says, all these sutras, his books here, scriptures I have, is totally nonsense. He'll pile them up and burn it. Okay? And then he came to Master Wei Shan, okay, and he says, enough is enough. I'm out of here. So he left. Okay, and later he became enlightened, practicing on his own. Okay, that's a different story. But the point here is that Xiang Yin was allowed to enter Master Wei Shan for what purpose? Let me tell you. This is something that you cannot understand. Master Wei Shan is very compassionate. He allowed Xiang Yin, because Xiang Yin was struggling so much and he was not enlightened yet. Don't think that the master only allowed enlightened people to come to his room so that they create few disturbances. You don't know what it's like to have your own peace in your own place and have someone, a lowlife, come in and say, you know, hey, master, hey, can I give you some money? I love you, I adore you, and so forth. You know, it's disruption, it's disturbances for the enlightened people. So they don't look forward to it. You see, that's why they restrict people who can enter the room. Does it make sense now? Okay, but somehow Xiang Yin, who wasn't enlightened yet, was allowed to enter his room. And Xiang Yin had no money to offer either, had very little to offer. And sure enough, he later asked Xiang Yin, who came in, about to the master, and the master says, hey, I just have a dream. Explain that to me. Okay? Explain is better than interpret. Okay, interpret is Western. Okay? Oh, look at the doctor. Oh my God. Oh my God. Now I feel bad. Cheng Cheng, close your eyes. Don't look at Fang Lang. Fang Lang? Please. Okay? Cheng Cheng, don't look. Can we have something like blackout, blur the face? Look at her. Oh my God, there's so much suffering. She turn it off? No, turn it on. It's fun for me. So anyway, Chang, shame on you. You see how what they people, the great length people will have to go through to become enlightened? And you complain already? So anyway, Xiang Yin, he was inside the master's room, brought, he came in, say hello, and master said, hey, I have a dream, explain that to me. What did Xiang Yin do? He went and brought the master a cup of tea. Okay? Yeah. So my point is, Xiang Yin wasn't enlightened yet, so why was he allowed to enter the master's room? He had no money, he wasn't a cook, he didn't really bring anything important, the master didn't really need anything from him. Why was he allowed to come in, you think? Because the master, boys and girls, pay attention now, okay? And this is what we Buddhists have that the non-Buddhists don't have, okay? The master allowed him to serve him in order to create blessings. So that's how Master Wei Shan, Master Ling Yo or Wei Shan taught him. Because he didn't understand. He couldn't understand what the lesson was. Tell me something that's outside of the scriptures. And the idiot came back and looked at all the scriptures himself. Okay? So, you see, so that means that he didn't understand the teaching at all. So Master Wei Shan says, this guy, you keep it, you leave him alone, it's not going to work. So he allowed him to create blessings by serving him. Be careful, folks. The Chinese teachers are very, very, very wise. They do things on purpose. Okay? So Xiang Yin at the time wasn't enlightened yet. Okay? So he's allowed to serve the master. Okay? So he went and brought the master a cup of tea. That's it. And the master says, you two's understanding is better than Shariputra's, meaning that you guys understand. You have wisdom. Okay? Okay. Yang Shan was enlightened already. That makes sense. Okay? That the master's statement, your Yang Shan's understanding is better than Shariputra's. But what about Xiang Yin? Was this understanding really better than Shariputra's? Yes, it was. Okay? Because Shariputra was a fourth stage Arhat. Xiang Yin was higher than a fourth stage Arhat. He's on the way towards enlightenment already. He practiced under Bai Chang, remember, under Wei Shan as well. So he's way up there already. Okay? So his statement is not BS, it's based on fact. The master says, yes, your behavior, okay, your comportment reflects your level of understanding. And the way you answer my question, my test, my quiz, is a proof of that. It's a confirmation, by the way, folks. When the master says something, it's to help confirm to you where you are. It's a form of encouragement and help you save time. Is that right? Is it clear? Because you don't know where you are, you sit there and you wonder, yes, with these people. So sometimes the master decides to tell you where you are to help save you time. Okay? To help you. All right. So, time is up, so let me tell you quickly why this thing here. Okay, the master came up from sleep, and Yang Shan came in, okay, to serve him, see what he needed in the morning, maybe breakfast or whatever. And the master says, I have a dream, explain that dream for me. And Yang Shan went and got a basin of water for the master to wash his face. Okay, what does it mean? I'm running out of time. Anyone has any ideas quickly? Huh? Anyone? It means that the dream means nothing. That's why he did not explain it. What's there to explain? The dream is zero. The dream is empty. That's why he didn't try to explain it. Because what if Yang Shang says, Master, your dream is empty? Would that work? No, Catholic, stay away from this. This is Buddhist thing. You would not understand. Huh? Would any of you choose to say, Master, your dream is really empty? Anyone would do that. Huh? Anyone? Hey, you Chinese. I'm not even Chinese. You're supposed to understand your Chinese teachers. You Asian teachers. I'm more Western. I went to French high school, okay? You cannot call me Vietnamese. You cannot call me Asian. I'm more Western, educated person. I only look Asian. But my behavior is non-Asian. If you were to say, but Master, your dream means nothing, because dreams are empty, would that work? No, because you still see a dream that's empty. Is that clear? So, Yang Shang says he went and got a basin of the master, a basin of water of the master to wash his face. Why? I got to do that. A good thing. In the morning, if Master Wei Shan washes his face, okay, we should all do that. You understand, huh? Never mind about enlightenment. Wash your face in the morning. You think enlightened people don't wash their faces in the morning? And this is what the Asian rumor has among Asians. She's enlightened. She doesn't wash her face in the morning anymore. Here's the proof that they do still wash their face. Okay, so if he said, Master, your dream is empty, then he still has a dream that's empty. So the dream is really not empty, is it? Because he's still explaining the dream is empty. That dream is empty. Therefore, the dream is still not empty yet because he's still referring to it. So Yang Shang says he just ignored it. He went and got he said he just ignored the question. Nice? Make sense now? Next. Okay. Next, Xiang Yan came and bowed to the master, and I said, I had a dream. Xiang Yan explained it to me. Xiang Yan, even though he's not enlightened yet, he's close. This tells me he's very close. Okay? So the master says, I have a dream. You're Asian. You guys know about dreams. We have our very rich culture about dream interpretation. Explain that to me. And since especially you are very knowledgeable, you read a lot. Scriptures, Buddhist scriptures, Taoist scriptures, all kinds of scriptures. Explain that to me. Xiang Yan went and brought him a cup of tea. Okay, tea. Idea number 2, tea. Wash your face and drink tea in the morning. Okay, and Chinese tea. Okay. Not Taiwanese, not Vietnamese, not Korean. Has to be Chinese. Until become enlightened, that's not take chances. You hear? Okay, so Xiang Yan went bought the master a cup of tea. Same interpretation. He says, hey, it's empty. It's nothing to talk about. You see? So that's why the master says, you two's understanding is better than Shariputra's. Because Shariputra would try to explain it to him. Okay? Because Shariputra, like many fourth-stage Rahat I met so far, they try to explain things to you. Okay? In Mahayana, we explain by what? Doing, not by talking. That's wisdom. Okay? So this particular person here will not tell who. The person who's been crying all this time for the last hour or so. Okay? That's wisdom somewhere. Okay? Because wisdom is you do, you don't talk about it. Is that clear? There's wisdom in Cheng, being willing to endure. Your wisdom is unfolding bit by bit. Okay? You endure it, your wisdom unfolds. Every little bit of suffering you endure, okay, your wisdom is growing. That's why. It's a Chinese secret that we should be so grateful to have been taught that, because it worked. It worked for so many people. And if you have the blessings, okay, you would be willing to endure it. Okay? So you see a person's going crazy like that for an hour, you ask yourself, why? Why? It's because they have blessings, that they're able to do things that help the wisdom grow and they become better people, better person. That's the difference. Okay? Questions, comments? Are you bored? You see, I'm glad the doctor is suffering so much so that we can have some entertainment. But you are all giggling as well. Look at that. No. I really love being able to learn about Master Yang Shan's, Wei Shan's teaching to his disciples, how he taught their disciples. It's so fantastic. It's so beautiful, don't you think? Little things. Training is about your daily life. It's not something theoretical, what you know and how much you know. It's about how you go about solving your problems. Are you going to quit in particular? When you are in trouble, when it's difficult, are you going to quit before you reach your goal or not? Okay? You don't, you will open your wisdom. You will get what you want. You become happier. Okay? All right. Any final questions before we stop here today? Okay. Thank you all. See you next time.